Your department is promoting white nationalist, anti-immigrant sentiments. When will you stop DHS from using its social media accounts to spread bigoted and racist words?
It's interesting how you make those claims and give no facts, but yet your party's the one that's supporting the guy that's got a Nazi tattoo.
I have the facts. I have the facts, sir.
No, there is no facts. You throw out nationalism, Nazism, and that's exactly what causes the hatred and the violence that happens to our officers every single day. You should be ashamed of using that.
Well, look, no, it's not my words.
It is your words.
Look here.
No, don't give me what some poll that is ran by the left is talking about.
Let me reclaim my time.
DHS said, yeah, you don't want to talk about it but you want to throw out racism all the time to my.
He came into the hearing accusing DHS of promoting racism, white nationalism, and anti-immigrant extremism. The goal seemed obvious. Throw out the most explosive labels possible, put the secretary on the defensive, and walk away with a headline. But there was one problem. The moment the accusations started flying, Secretary Markwayne Mullin demanded something Democrats rarely expect to provide: proof. And when the congressman couldn't point to specific evidence, the hearing quickly turned into a heated showdown over facts, political narratives, and who was really fueling division in America. By the end, the conversation wasn't about racism anymore. It was about whether accusations alone are supposed to replace evidence. Let's get into it.
Mr. Tanadar, 5 minutes ago.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member, for having this hearing today. And thank you, Secretary Mullin, for your testimony. Secretary Mullin, for the past year and a half, the American people suffered under disastrous leadership of your predecessor, Cristino. Cities across the country faced an unprecedented onslaught of immigration raids targeting civilians based on color of skin or language they spoke. Grants for communities that faced environmental disasters often went unfunded or were paused indefinitely. Political donors received numerous DHS contracts worth millions, and decisions made by the highest courts in our land to put a leash on your department were often blatantly ignored. Secretary Mullin, it's a yes or no question. Are you making concerted efforts to fast-track the backlog of FEMA grants that needs to be awarded to communities that have suffered while hearing nothing from the federal government?
We made that a priority as soon as we walked in the door. The deputy and myself went to work from day one, and you immediately started seeing grants start flowing again. The biggest thing we had to do was to raise that threshold from where my predecessor had it at 100,000. We raised it significantly higher than that, so we could empower those that we have in those positions to make those decisions.
How about contracts with companies that work with DHS agencies? I understand that you have quite an enormous amount of shares in companies that hold DHS contracts. Are you prioritizing giving contracts to companies you hold shares in, or to companies with political ties to your boss?
That's not accurate. I had to sell every bit of stock I had before I was confirmed. So I have no stock.
Secretary Mullin, I'm very concerned that your department is promoting white nationalist, anti-immigrant sentiments on official social media accounts. One post quotes a song embraced by neo-Nazis, and state law enforcement agencies have raised concerns that your post will motivate white supremacist violence. When will you stop DHS from using its social media accounts to spread bigoted and racist words and imagery promoting great replacement theory?
It's interesting how you make those claims and give no facts, but yet your party's the one that's supporting the guy that's got a Nazi tattoo.
I have the facts. I have the facts, sir.
No, there is no facts. You throw out nationalism, Nazism, and that's exactly what causes the hatred and the violence that happens to our officers every single day. And you should be ashamed of using that.
Well, look, no, it's not my words.
It is your words.
Look here.
It is your words.
Here is Colorado
Did you
Fusion
endorse the
Center.
candidate in Maine?
Here is
Did
Colorado.
you endorse a candidate name that's a
Let
Nazi?
me reclaim my time, sir. Colorado Fusion Center says ICE white nationalist messaging could lead to violence. There is just numerous
Who
reports.
said that? Who said that? And what is they actually?
This is Colorado Fusion Center.
Yeah, tell me exactly what message you're talking about. Now, don't give me what some poll that is ran by the left is talking about. Give me what your actually specific
let me
details that
reclaim
you're
my
saying
time.
that DHS said. Yeah, you don't want to talk about it but you want to throw out racism all the time to my
Mr.
department.
Secretary,
Is it true?
Mr. Secretary, we got numerous reports. I want to move quickly to ICE training. Under Kristi Noem, new ICE agents received 42 days of training rather than the standard 72 days to meet President Trump's demand. We saw the effects of this training shortage with ICE agents often ignoring the rule of law, engaging in unprofessional behavior and using unjustified force, including shooting and killing an American. When will DHS revert back to the 72-day training requirement for new ICE agents? When will ICE agents who received less training have to retake or recertify courses they were exempt from because of the accelerated training schedule?
It's interesting to me how you always point out the behavior of our ICE agents, but you don't point out what caused it by the so-called peaceful protesters, which is a lie.
It's a simple question of
I will
training.
answer the question. July 1st, we bring it back up. We had to rewrite the curriculum. All training starting July 1st will be back up to the regular standards.
Secretary Mullin, can you promise the American people that the scenes we saw?
Gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. McCall, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your, in such a short period of time, your leadership you brought to the department. It's been really phenomenal. Getting the funding, working with members of Congress, your accessibility means a lot to us. And when you met with us privately to talk about the funding, you got it done. And we still have to get CBP and ICE, but it has allowed you to do a lot of things that I was concerned about as chairman of the Special Events Task Force with respect to FIFA, World Cup, and the 250th anniversary. As you know, while these are great entertainment, sporting games, they also provide a high-threat environment. I also want to commend you when we spoke at Weapons of Mass Destruction Office, how quickly you were able to restore that and working with Congress. And I think that's the way it should be. So I just want to thank you at the outset for that. I wanted to see if you could maybe expand to the extent you can in this room, given the funding that came through, what you're able to do now to make sure these games are safe. My biggest concern are the drone threats, as we've seen, from Iran, Shahed drones to Ukraine and Russia, that kind of attack here in the United States. I used to be.
I know. Congressman, I want to say, first of all, thank you for your leadership in the WMD program. You see the threat there, and our conversation was very helpful, and your leadership on making sure that we were able to realign it and had the funding to do so is not unnoticed throughout all DHS, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Drones are my biggest concern, too. We have spent a tremendous amount of ability and money to be able to be very offensive with drones, but on the counter drone measures, everybody's a little behind. I will tell you, all 11 of facilities do have counter drone equipment at the facilities. We have CBP that has 5 stadiums. United States Coast Guard has 2, FBS has 1, and FBI has 3. So we're well prepared for it. And we learned a couple of things lately too. At the F1 in Miami, we had 8 drones that entered the space that shouldn't be there. We were able to bring them down and find out where they came from and find the individuals or arrest them in some occasions. During the Augusta golf tournament, we had 12 that entered a no-fly zone. We were able to bring those down too. Every single day we improve, but that is a huge concern that we have within the stadium. I also have concerns outside the stadium in the Fan Fest area and the soft areas that's outside security. The lone individual that's got this crazy mindset about him, maybe it's because of too much alcohol, maybe it's because of the temperature, maybe it's because his team lost, maybe because he's too excited, whatever it is. Those areas do concern me, but we have a lot of partnership with our local law enforcement that is going to be out there in that area to make it as hard as an area as it can to take the soft look.
The exchange began when Representative Shri Thanadar shifted the hearing toward accusations involving DHS social media posts and immigration messaging. At first, the discussion focused on FEMA grants, department funding, and agency operations. Mullin answered those questions directly. He explained that the department had made disaster relief funding a priority and had worked to accelerate the approval process for communities waiting on assistance. But then the hearing took a dramatic turn. Thanadar accused DHS of promoting what he described as white nationalist and anti-immigrant messaging through official government channels. He referenced reports claiming that certain social media posts could encourage extremist behavior and contribute to racial tensions. Those are serious accusations. And when accusations that serious are made, most Americans expect specific evidence to follow. Instead, Mullin immediately challenged the claims. He pointed out that broad labels like white nationalism, racism, and Nazism are often thrown around without facts being presented to support them. The secretary didn't just deny the accusations, he went on offense. Mullin argued that reckless use of those labels contributes to hostility toward law enforcement officers and federal agents who are already facing increasing threats while performing their duties. The exchange quickly became more intense. Thanadar insisted that reports existed supporting his concerns and cited references from the Colorado Fusion Center regarding DHS messaging. Mullin wasn't satisfied. He repeatedly demanded specifics. What exact message? What exact statement? What exact post? The more he pressed, the more the hearing shifted away from broad accusations and toward a debate over evidence. That was the turning point. Because viewers watching the hearing weren't hearing a discussion about immigration policy anymore. They were watching a battle over credibility. One side was making sweeping claims, the other side was demanding proof. And that's where things started getting uncomfortable. Every time Mullin asked for specifics, the conversation moved back toward broader accusations. Every time he challenged the narrative, the focus shifted somewhere else. Then the discussion moved to ICE training. Thanadar argued that accelerated training programs have contributed to misconduct and operational problems. Mullin responded by providing a direct answer. He stated that training requirements will return to standard levels beginning July 1st after curriculum revisions have been completed. Unlike many hearings where officials avoid giving clear timelines, Mullin provided a specific date. But even then, the confrontation didn't cool down. Instead, it highlighted the larger disagreement that had been building throughout the hearing. Supporters of Thanadar would argue that aggressive oversight is necessary when government agencies face allegations involving bias or misconduct. Supporters of Mullin would argue that accusations should be backed by evidence before being presented as fact. And that's what made this exchange so significant. It wasn't simply a debate about immigration. It wasn't even primarily about DHS. It became a debate about political discourse itself. How often are labels being used as substitutes for evidence? How often are people accused first and investigated later? And what happens when someone